All right, here we go. We're at the start of the trip here. We're at Cascade Pass Trailhead, or it's a Holly Trailhead. We've got about 60 miles over 6 days. Got my bag packed right here. Got about 40 pounds. And I'm feeling good, I'm feeling prepared. I'm also a little worried, but the weather is looking great and it's time to get out there. Logistics is always a challenge. Big thanks to Mom Jeans, great recipe tester, for giving me a ride to the beginning of the trailhead here. She's gonna hike with me for the first part, which is gonna be really awesome to be able to share that at the beginning, and then I'll be on my way. But here we go on a 5-night solo trip. Boca Boca. About halfway through day one, just left my good friend. She was able to hike along with me for the first few miles. Really nice to have that as a start. So now I'm on my own for the next 5-ish days. Really excited about that. A little unsure. There's always some uncertainty with any trip, but I feel prepared. I've got all my equipment that I think I need. Got really stocked up on food. It's a bunch of water sources ahead of me. And I'm really excited about whatever lies ahead, because I don't really know. But I think that's part of the fun of it. It's just getting out there, exploring, and seeing what lies ahead. And what lies ahead for me right now is this. Some beautiful fall colors with the wild blueberries turning. Gonna get through this river basin and set up camp in around 5 miles. Coming up on the end of day one, we're camping at Cottonwood Camp, and the trail turns into a little bit of a wider situation, which will be pretty easy breezy for tomorrow. Got a bear box. Another bear box over there, super helpful. Looks like we got a stock hookup, and then Cottonwood Camp back here. Pretty solid flat options. Time to set up camp. So the first few things you want to do when you get to camp is 1, drop your pack because you're probably tired. 2, set up your tent. Got mine set up right here. This is a single person. If you have a larger tent, it's always nice to have a buddy to be able to set some of these things up. Just goes a lot quicker. Also want to pull out your sleeping bag and inflate your pad if it does need to get inflated. If not, you can go ahead and just roll it out. But I love just getting all of that nice and set up. So when it's time to crash, it's time to crash. Always close your tent because you never know what's gonna get in there. Next, you need to find your water source. You need to find where you're gonna get water tonight, whether that's a river, a lake, or wherever. Next, you need to find where you're gonna, if you are in bear country, you need to find where you're gonna store your food. So at the end of the night, you're gonna need to store all of your food and any of your deodorant, anything that smells, baby wipes, all that kind of stuff in either a bear canister, which is really helpful, put it away from your camp, a bear box, which we have here, so we're gonna just put it in a big locker, that's super helpful, or we're gonna need to hang it. So if you do have a rope that you brought with you, go ahead and find a tree now. It's much easier to do when it's in the daylight than when it's all dark and you're really tired at the end of the day. And then some camps have a bare wire already set up for you, but go ahead and find that just so you know where it all is. You're just getting the lay of the land, understanding where it is. And lastly, find out where the toilet is. Some don't have a designated toilet, some do, but find out where that is because you don't want to shit in your bed. It's time for dinner, night one. I'm excited, I'm getting hungry. Camp is all set up, got a nice fire going here at Cottonwood Campground. The thing I am a little concerned with my meal plan is not necessarily weight, because I'm okay handling that, but is volume. It kind of got bulky and big. It all fit in there, but it got a little bit big. Something to note for some future recipes. But the one way to help out with volume and weight is eat it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start to eat food. The other thing to start to think about is what sounds good, and also to start eating up some of those perishable ingredients tonight, tomorrow, to help with some of those potential perishability issues. It's just going to go bad. But for the first night, looks like our mixed veggies are holding up just fine. I did put this at the top of my pack, which helps out a lot so you're not squishing everything. But that's the fun thing about having a diverse meal plan, is then you can really start to have fun and plan it out based on some factors, but then also what sounds good. I know some of you out there can eat the same thing every day, every week. Just keep on shoving it in. Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes are delicious, but they get old, and they get old really quick. So with the flavor profiles that we have, we've got Italian, Asian, Mexican, American, a whole bunch of stuff that it's going to keep my belly interested. It's going to get me excited for mealtime rather than dreading it. But what sounds good to me tonight, and also to start to use up some fresh ingredients, is I'm going to do a beef veggie ramen. So I'll show you how to make it right here by the beautiful campfire in gorgeous North Cascades National Park. So one thing to note, what am I cooking on for this whole trip? I've got an MSR Pocket Rocket, the friend of the thru hiker, really easy, handy, super tiny. And I've got my nice dinky, I don't even know what the capacity is. We've got just about 300 mil plus pot here. So let's get going with our beef ramen. So we're gonna let that come to a boil. But then while you're waiting, you can go ahead and make yourself some sweet campy chopsticks. One of the best camp hacks ever. So this is what it looks like when it's all done. And what I'll often do, because these are so small, is I'll just have to make a double batch, but that's the challenge of a long haul through hiker. Sometimes you can't have as big of a capacity stove as you like. One thing to note too is sometimes these pots get really, really hot. So I just took off one of my socks and used it as a pot holder. Pretty dirtbag, but it definitely does the job. And because I'm crazy Chef Corso, I packed along a little bit of sriracha and a keychain, because of course you need this. But we've got a dinner, a couple fresh veggies, a little bit of protein in there, elevated ramen. Wow, that really hits the spot right now. See you tomorrow. Morning. Beginning of day 2. Overall, pretty good night's sleep. Just had some nice coffee, little quick breakfast, and on the road this morning. Got about 8-9 miles ahead, so overall pretty doable day. But beautiful campground here at Cottonwood. We've got vine maples, big leaf maples, all around, Russian River in the background. Pretty nice, solid spot. Onward. So one thing to think about when you are starting to cook and to eat is portioning or rationing, where, for example, this morning I wanted about 3 or 4 cups of coffee, but I don't have 3 or 4 cups of coffee per day. You could easily plan for that if that's what you're looking to do, but I just had my 1 cup and enjoyed that for what it was, and got to live to cook and eat another day. But as you're going through your meal stash, it's just something to consider is, do I really need all of that right now? Or am I gonna be needing that in 3 or 4 days? It's always wise at the beginning to be a little bit more conservative with your food and your intake. But you know your belly, you know your day, you know your trip better than I do, but just something to be mindful of. Beautiful fall here. So one of the challenges with this meal plan that I'm testing out is that I don't have my standard pantry to be able to pull from. So if I were to do this in another trek and I was packing up from home, some of my go-tos are dehydrated beans, powdered eggs. I know some of you don't like them out there, but they go a long way for some really quick protein. Powdered peanut butter, powdered soy sauce is another really good one. So it'll be really interesting as we go along through this trek together is, how does this hold up? Because all the ingredients I bought on day 0 at the store, packed it up and got out there because I'm on the road. But it'll be really interesting to see how this all works out. And it'll be interesting to see if both ways work. If you have the time and the pantry at home to be able to pack up and prep, or if you are on the road or on a long haul hike, can you pack in some of these smaller towns to still be able to eat better? Middle of day 2, and it's time for lunch. Yes, I'm hungry. Been hiking for a few hours, trucking along pretty good this morning, and it's been a beautiful, beautiful hike so far, and I couldn't think of a better spot for a nice lunch break here. So as we were talking about before, some things to start to consider as you're starting to go through your meals is volume, weight, what sounds good. And what sounds good to me is pizza. But I obviously do not have pizza, but I'm gonna make up a grain bowl, which is an amazing change up from just the meat, cheese, bread, or just the bar and the jerky lunch. This is an awesome no-cook, no-burner recipe. to be able to have in the pantry as an option. It's also really versatile. So I'm going to do pizza today. You can do Mexican fajita. You could do green goddess, throw an avocado and some other stuff in there. Or even Asian crunch with some mandarin oranges that you're packing along and some chicken and soy sauce. Really versatile, really filling, a lot of great calories, protein, real food, and very, very filling. So I can make it up quick, eat it up, and then get back on the trail. All set up here right by the river for some lunch. And what I love to do is I love to find some rocks or some stumps to be able to set up a nice little cooking station. And a couple ingredient call outs here is red pepper flakes. We're gonna go ahead and throw that in there. It's a great weasel ingredient to be able to pack along and jazz up some stuff really nice. Also a check-in on our fresh ingredients here. So we've got some red pepper and baby tomato, and maybe one or two have bursted just a little bit, but still very, very edible. Overall, still very good. So what I'm gonna do here, because this looks like a lot of food for me for one day, is I'm actually gonna make 2 portions and put them all in here and mix it all up. So that way on day 3, 4, I'll have lunch already ready for me. If I'm having a longer day and I just don't want to get anything out. This is what it looks like when it's all done. All nice and dressed and mixed. We got a little bit of freshness from the lemon. Put the rushing river here for lunch. And always remember to pack all this out. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in my water for the afternoon. A little bit of flavor difference. But a little bit of crunch, a little bit of freshness goes a long way on any trip outdoors, but especially on these long treks to keep you excited about mealtime rather than dreading another mashed up gray packaged meal. Time to eat. Just about done with day 2. Have a couple more miles. And I was just thinking, it's just funny. For any one of these trips, you have these ebbs and flows of energy and excitement and worry and all the things. But earlier this morning, you know, the body was a little creaky. You get it moving. You're like, oh, this is awesome. Trail's beautiful. You cross a river. And then sometime in the late afternoon, you get a little tired and you're wondering why you're doing this. But then you know why, because it's awesome and it's delightful. But I was just thinking that, man, I really don't need to do a 5-night trip next time. But then maybe I do. And maybe it's going to be okay. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be totally fine. But it's just funny how the ebb and flow of your mind goes, especially when you're by yourself. But trail has changed quite a bit here, actually. We've got some actual pine trees, some Doug firs, and some big leaf maples that are just starting to turn. But it's definitely a change from our vine maples, blueberries, and little low shrub situations. But onward. Dropping down into North Fork Campground. Wow. I think it's going to be just fine.